I'm happy to report that recently two men who trace their male lines to Sicily have ordered NGS tests. And this is going to advance our knowledge of where J2b-Y23094 may have originated. So let me show you why this is interesting. What you're looking at now are the geolocated samples in Y23094 who have done the most advanced test, Big Y or WGS test, and are on the Y full tree. This is the data source of Y heat map. What you're looking at is a frequency, relative frequency heat map. There's only one man in this positive for this lineage from the island of Kefalonia here, but because so few people from Kefalonia have done DNA tests, this comes up as a hot spot on the map. So per capita, you're more likely to be Y23094 if you're from Kefalonia than if you're from somewhere else around here. But this is based on, this should be taken with a grain of salt because it's based on a very small sample size. Not very many men from Kefalonia do these tests. The interesting thing about Y23094 is we don't know for sure where it originated. 1100 BCE. That's the estimate. Weifel estimates that the most recent common ancestor of all these men lived about 1100 BCE. We don't know exactly or even approximately where for sure where this man had been living, because no sample dating to the Iron Age has yet been found for this lineage. Earlier, I had talked about my theory that this lineage may come from part of the Western Balkans that hasn't yet been sampled for Iron Age ancient samples, and this could be true, but it's also possible that this lineage could actually be a Southern Italian or Sicilian origin lineage. Uh, if you're looking at this map, this theory might seem kind of doubtful because there's not a single sample on Sicily or southern Italy. But there are actually men positive for this lineage who just did not yet order the most expensive kind of test. That has changed. In the last month, two men who trace their male line to Sicily, who are in this lineage, have ordered a next generation test. One ordered a WGS test at YSeq, and another ordered a Big Y at FTDNA. Some men tracing descent to Catanzaro, Reggio Calabria, and different parts of Sicily are positive for Y23094 based on their STRs. And what's more, I've identified some STR alleles that they appear to share in common that may indicate common descent. Okay, I'm showing you the STRs that this group of men from southern Italy and Sicily have in common with one another. If this hurts your brain, just don't worry. I'm not going to talk about this for very long. But I want to show you the basis for why I think that they are related to one another. In green, I've highlighted that they have DYS 607 is 13. This is what everybody who is Y23094 positive should have. Their ancestor 1100 BCE had already acquired this mutation. The mutations that I have circled in yellow or gold, let's say, these are mutations that other men in Y23094 do not have. But this group of men from Sicily and Calabria have this mutation. It might mean that they inherited it from a common ancestor so maybe just one man originally had accumulated these mutations, and then all of his offspring inherited them. Other interesting thing in pink, what I have shown that all the men from Sicily and a man who I think is from Reggio Calabria, because he had joined the Reggio Calabria project. Uh, all of these, Reggio Calabria, which is right across from Sicily, all of these men have DYS 385, 14, 18. And down here we see that a man whose paternal ancestor, Montagnese from Catanzaro, he doesn't have this. He has the ancestral DYS 385. That means he has just what everyone else in Y23094 has. What could this mean? Now, this is not a very stable allele, but it's possible that now I'm looking at this map that the man from Catanzaro, he's a remnant of a migration, and one of his ancestors' siblings went further south to Reggio Calabria in Sicily, and that man acquired the mutation 1418 and passed that on to all of his descendants that now trace descent to Catania, Sicily, Milicia, that's around here, and Reggio Calabria. This is not a high confidence prediction, but because this STR is not that stable, DYS 385. But it shows you an interesting possibility that this could be confirmed if some of these men, if the man from Catanzaro and Reggio Calabria were to do an NGS test. Now we're looking at a 67 STR comparison of these men. Unfortunately, all of the men that trace descent to Sicily only did 37 STRs, so we can't see how they compare. But two guys, one from Reggio Calabria and one from Catanzaro, did 67 STRs, and these two circled in gold to the right were the STR alleles that I had shown in the previous slide. But at 67 STRs, there's an even more stable allele that these men have in common. They mutated DYS 568 both from 11 to 10. So the chances that of these men, if they're not actually each other's next closest relatives, then it would be a weird coincidence that they both inherited a mutation of this particular STR to mutate in that particular direction from 11 down to a 10. So it would be a weird coincidence if they didn't actually turn out to be each other's distant relatives. The other interesting thing about these guys is that they are missing one of the mutations that all other Y23094 men have, namely DYS 446. They have a 12. This is the value that most men in L283 have. These guys also have that, but everyone else that's in JY23094 has a 11. So it could just be a coincidence that that they are fully formed Y23094 that happen to have back mutated from 12 to 11 back to 12. But it's also possible that they are not fully formed Y23094. That would be a really huge development. What does it mean when I say if they are not fully formed JY23094? Then that would mean that they're not positive, that they would not be positive for every SNP defining that branching point, which means they would split that branch, which means everybody else that's now considered Y23094 would all descend from their ancestor's brother. So they would be like the most distantly related Y23094 men. They'd be more distantly related to all the other Y23094 men than they are to each other. That's what that would mean. So I'm not saying that I'm predicting that these men from South Italy and Sicily, I'm not predicting that they are going to split JY23094, but there is one less reliable STR allele that they lack, that defines Y23094, that could be an indicator of that. Anyway, we would need to see the result of the WGS. This man, I ordered the WGS at YSeek for one of the men in this cluster, not the man from Calabria or Catanzaro, but one of the Sicilian men who traces his male line descent to Catania, and his ancestral surname is Zappala. We've ordered his test at YSeek. So in about 3 months, we'll probably have the result there, and then we'll know for sure. The second man who ordered an advanced test traces his male line to a Di Martino from Polizzi Generosa. Here it is. It's kind of in central part of northern Sicily. His closest STR match traces his line to Manzella of Messina, and their next closest relative may be Bifulco from Naples, but they don't really share very many any rare alleles in common. But I think the STR match between the man who ordered the big Y and Manzella of Messina is a more reliable STR match. The other interesting thing is that both the men who just ordered the advanced tests do not have any STRs in common. So there's no indication that these two men, who probably have male line origins in Sicily, are related to one another. They could be two different lineages that independently migrated to Sicily later. Or if they are, in fact, descending from the same line of Y23094, then when that is determined by Y-fold analysis, this could be a very old line indeed, because they don't have any STRs in common. So even if none of these two samples tracing their origin to Sicily, even if none of them split Y23094, it could still be an interesting result come out of this that could show an Iron Age migration to Sicily, which we don't have any evidence for yet, circumstantially, for Y23094. I mean, for any lineage of JL283. However, it would make sense that some L283 should have been able to migrate to Sicily in the Iron Age, because it's been found in the Iron Age in Sardinia and in Kerkuan, Tunisia. So there's no reason that they would have bypassed Sicily. So I think if we get an estimate of when the most recent common ancestor lived, then we might find that this migration to Sicily may have been mediated by the Cetina culture of the Western Balkans, which is known, based on pottery, to have dispersed from the Western Balkans to parts of Italy, southern Italy, and Sicily. If you appreciate this research that I'm able to do, then thank the donors who have donated to pay for these tests. In this case, the man that I ordered the WGS for, he paid for about half the cost of his test. There's another about $200 outstanding that would cover the test and analysis at YFUL, that I will use any donations to cover that cost. And then in the future, I'll let you know who the next testing candidate is.